Great to have you here tonight. Now, you heard that report from Trace, and you've been following this race very closely. Why was this so ugly from the start? And then how did it get, and why is that at the place now where she's trying to force this recount? There's no way she's going to get there. But what's going on really here?
Well, you have to go back to 2014. Stacey Abrams made her claim as she could get elected by doing voter registration drives throughout the state, and she failed. She's got to explain to her donors and keep Democrats agitated. There's another race coming up in 2 years. She wants to run against Senator David Perdue there. So by keeping Democrats inflamed, she thinks she can move into a runoff in December where the Secretary of State's race isn't a runoff, keep Democrats going. But there's a key point here. All these Democrats are saying Brian Kemp stole the election. The Secretary of State in Georgia, under Georgia law, actually plays no role in the election other than making sure the ballots are uniform so we don't have Florida-style problems. The Secretary of State role doesn't become effective until after the election is over, and Kemp resigned before playing that role. Every problem the Democrats have highlighted are actually local elections officials, most of them in Democratic counties.
And Eric, from the beginning, they've been trying to push this narrative with Oprah and the big rollout with Oprah.
Right.
That if you don't, first of all, if you don't vote, then you're betraying your ancestors' past. That's number one. But number two, this idea that Brian Kemp, by cleaning up the voter rolls, which I believe by law he's obligated to do,
right,
that he is actively trying to suppress minority voting. Respond to that.
Right. And, you know, to some degree, there's a question of whether or not minority voters decided not to go vote because the Abrams campaign was telling them it's not going to count anyway, Kemp's going to steal it. So how many votes did she lose? But the Kemp campaign, the Secretary of State's required by law in odd-numbered years to clean voter rolls of voters who have not voted in 7 years, were contacted and did not reply. The Democrats are saying, though, there was a massive amount of votes this year taken off the rolls. That's true, but the Secretary of State in Georgia is prohibited from removing people from the rolls in election years. Those were local officials who removed people who either committed felonies, died, or were declared incompetent by courts of law. Those are the only people who've been removed from the rolls this year.
Now, so why is Sherrod Brown and Kamala Harris getting involved? I mean, it's Kamala Harris, she's running for president in 2020, so this is part of that effort, clearly. But why is Sherrod Brown? I'm not making that connection.
Well, because December 4th, there's going to be a Secretary of State runoff, and the Democrats have a chance of winning it. So they're trying to keep Democrats really inflamed and impassioned by this. Remember, this all goes back to a Democrat strategy after 2000 with Katherine Harris in Florida, where they decided the key to winning states was to win Secretaries of State races because the Secretaries of State presided over voter rolls. So they've been making the claims about Brian Kemp when really that's what the Democrats want to do. They want to win the Secretary of State's office in Georgia, thinking that will help the Democrat in 2020.
Well, her campaign manager actually mentioned the Secretary of State role today. Let's watch.
I would like to remind everybody that his last official act as Secretary of State was using that body as a taxpayer-funded arm of his campaign and issuing a press release that said, "I'm the victor." And then the next day, he's standing saying that he's governor-elect. We reject that.
Eric, I mean, I'm happy to have that loop play morning, noon, and night. That'd be really good for the Republican Party in Georgia. But your response to her?
Well, you know, the math doesn't add up for her. There are no more votes outstanding. All the counties have reviewed even the absentee ballots now, and there are no more votes. She fell 17,795 votes short of even getting into a runoff, let alone a recount. The votes aren't there. She can sue all she wants to try to keep Democrats focused on the runoff for Secretary of State, but she will never be governor of Georgia.
And this, again, is about more identity politics, trying to register more people to vote, and leading all the way to 2020. Eric, terrific piece. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And you won't want to miss this. Tonight's angle tackles the media and the Democrats' Michael Avenatti problem. The angle after this.
This program is brought to you by The Frontrunner, now playing in select theaters everywhere November 21st.
Critics are raving about The Frontrunner.
There are stories being written right now.
Hugh Jackman is simply superb.
I care about the sanctity of this process, whether you do or